This is actually really exciting. I know 3,000 may seem like a really small number, but like when you really think about it, imagine us standing in front of 3,000 people. I would probably like.
I think we also hit like over 4,000 on Instagram.
Yeah, shout out to Aisha.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, why am I getting so many notifications? And then I realized I'm like, oh, she reposted.
Yeah.
The power of reposting. I don't know. I guess I don't need this anymore.
Yeah, I already have it on my phone here.
All right, I'm going to just put it on the floor because you guys can't see.
How y'all doing this week, man? Welcome back to the Cousin
Connection
podcast.
Sorry. Maybe we could redo that. I don't know.
No. We're good. We're good.
All right.
Okay, guys. We're pivoting today. You know, we had an episode planned today and everything, but unfortunately our guest couldn't make it.
Yeah.
So we're just going to, we're going to pivot here and talk about something, I have a little bit more experience with.
All right.
Okay. So first off, like Sarah said, we hit 3,000 subscribers. So that means because we hit it, I think I alluded to it. We're actually going to be having a giveaway.
Yeah.
Coming up, I think next week.
We'll make a post about it on Instagram.
Yeah, we'll make
a
post about it. Okay. So we're finally going to give back to you followers. It's going to be a good amount.
Listen, can I enter?
What?
I'm just kidding. Thank you guys. Is what Amir is trying to say, and this giveaway is sort of like a thank you, and inshallah we will be in a position in the future when our channel grows and our cousins grow to do more giveaways, bigger giveaways, better giveaways. But this one is just kind of like our first of many, inshallah. So.
Yeah, exactly. So just keep watch out for that, and we're still figuring out like how exactly you're gonna enter it, kind of thing. Like
this is our first time, okay?
Yeah, exactly. we got to talk to Aisha about that.
Also, I love how we're like unintentionally matching.
Are we?
Kinda.
Oh, I actually just got this shirt from like Uniqlo.
Yeah. As soon as you opened the door, I was like, yeah, he's already wearing it.
I'm trying it out, okay? I saw
It's
everybody
nice.
talking about Uniqlo. I was like, you know what?
Is this your first time going there?
Yeah.
Really?
Because I always thought Uniqlo was like just like an Asian, like pure made for like Asian.
Uniqlo is
I don't know if that's racist, but
it is.
Yeah.
But,
No, because I thought their sizes would be more geared towards the Asian body type, because it is originally an Asian brand, no?
Yeah, but like
or like an East Asian brand, or not East Asian. Yeah, East Asian.
Let's just fact check.
Is it not? Even their logo looks like it's like some type of kanji or something. No?
Hold on.
Search up what the origins of.
Oh yeah, it's a Japanese apparel.
Exactly, kanji. Like I said, you know what kanji is, right?
I don't know what
it's like
is.
The letters of. It's like saying the alphabet.
Oh, okay.
But for Japanese people.
Yeah, it was founded in Japan.
It was founded there, right? Exactly. So that's why I always had that what do they call it? That prejudice? Not prejudice.
The preconceived notion.
Yeah, the preconceived notion that like nothing would fit me there. And I did buy pants, and ironically enough, they were too big for me, so I have to go return them. But still,
you bought pants. They do tailoring there too, in-house.
That's what it said on it. Yeah.
It's cool, right?
But this probably costs a lot of money, no?
No. I've never done it, but I know, like, I was actually going to wear a dress that I got from Uniqlo today. But
a dress?
Yeah.
I thought it was like regular.
No, did you not like look around? Or you just kind of did like an in and out type of thing?
Yeah, I kind of was in and out. Yeah.
No,
I saw the t-shirts. I was like, oh, let me get a couple of these and go.
And you went to the Square One location?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably a good one too. It was big, right?
Yeah, it was pretty big.
Yeah. How did you not look around? You had so much time.
I'm not. Honestly, I'm the worst window shopper.
True. Honestly, I'm proud of you for going by yourself though.
Honestly, it's the most awkward. Just even walking around in a mall by myself.
Yeah.
Is like super awkward. I can't do it. Just
you know what?
Like social anxiety is like through the roof the whole time. I was sweating and my armpits were sweating. They were moist.
I'll be honest with you. Like there are so many times where I haven't. I used to frequent the mall so much before, like pre-COVID.
Yeah.
And then I don't know what it is. I just can't bring myself to go to the mall. Like even like I had to get my braces tightened this past week.
Yeah.
And it's at Scarborough Town Center. So I'm like, oh my God, I wonder what the mall's like. What's the mall saying? Like, I haven't been here in a minute. And I couldn't go in.
You know why?
Why?
It's all the teenagers.
Yeah,
the teenagers are intimidating, okay?
They are intimidating. But then I'm like, was I like that? But I was a loser when I was a teenager, so.
Yeah, same. So
like I don't think we were intimidating. They're like these dumb kids.
Yeah, exactly.
But now I'm just like, I don't know. I just can't. I don't want to go by myself.
Same.
And like it's weird.
That's why, remember, every time I would go to the mall or I needed to buy something, I'd hit you up and be like, yo,
Amir would
take me to the mall.
blows up my phone.
I can't help it, okay?
You know what? We need to do like a shopping trip. We need I need a wardrobe upgrade.
Yeah, well, like I the only thing I need now is like black pants, because anyone else who has like thunder thighs or just thick thighs in general knows this issue, that the middle of your pants, no matter what you're wearing, especially with sweatpants, like if you're wearing it, if you like these pants, if you're wearing it for like 3 to 6 months, it's done. It's going to be ripped through the middle.
That's never happened to me with sweatpants. With jeans, it's happened before, but
it's happened to me. It's happening. I literally just bought like sweatpants not the other day, like a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it's already starting to get like that little frill in the middle where it's like starting to create that friction.
You know what though? It actually happened to so I bought these pants from Zara, and like, I don't know if you know about Zara, but like it's a really hit and miss with the sizing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I bought them, it was like very, very big. Like,
yeah.
So I'm like, you know what? No, I'm going to see if I can exchange it. But it was also on sale. So I really thought like, whatever, I'm not going to get it. But I got my size.
Yeah.
And it was still kind of a little big, but I kind of like the look. I was like, I like this look. And they were leather, like the...
Leather?
Not leather, but like pleather? I don't know. Yeah. The vegan leather type of... Yeah. Yeah, and it didn't... I know what you're thinking. You're thinking like Rockstar leather. No, it was like matte, and it was so nice. Okay. It was like a tapered... I don't know how to explain it. But anyways, I loved the SHIT out of those pants. And it hasn't even been a full year, but I love those pants so much. And one day, I just wasn't really thinking, you know? I remember I was in the office, and like I was just on my desk, sitting at my desk. And then I remember like my hand was here. Like, imagine I'm not wearing a dress, but my hand was here in between my legs. And then I felt... like a little piece. And you know, sometimes when
like
you're just...
cold breeze of air.
No, it was just like a little peeling piece.
Yeah.
But I didn't think it through, right? Like normally with like sweatpants, you just peel off the little dot thingies, right? So I started like sitting there and I was peeling it. Yeah. And then I was conscious again. Like not that I wasn't unconscious, but anyways, I paid attention to what I was doing and I was like, oh, no! Yeah. And I looked down and it was like
missing a whole layer.
Yeah. And then after that, I was like, okay, maybe I can disguise it. So I stood up and I showed my coworker. I was like, can you tell that it's ripped here? She's like, well, and then I like turned my leg and she's like, now I can because you're showing me. But like if you're just standing straight, you can't really see it. Yeah. And then little by little, as I continued to wear them.
No, it gets worse and worse after that. That's when you get like a little cut on there, just keeps opening and opening up more and more.
So big now. Yeah. That, like,
you're still wearing the pants?
No, I don't wear them anymore. Okay. Like I saw it today because I was going through my closet of like things that I'm not gonna wear. Yeah. And it really broke my heart because they're so... I wouldn't call them new, but they're not old either. Like, it's less than a year. Yeah. And that hurts. You know, when you... No. Like, I feel like we're the same. When you love something so much, you just keep wearing it over and over. Exactly. We are an outfit repeater.
Yeah, definitely. Especially with pants. Pants are like, you can kind of throw that with everything, right?
And if they're black? Yeah. Yeah, game over.
Like, I literally bought the same pair of pants multiple times. Which one? Because I just kept ripping through them. It was like the stretchy, like, American Eagle pants. Now I'm kind of done with American Eagle, but back in the day when I loved them, like, they had the stretchy, like, sport fit because my legs were just naturally bigger. Oh. So I would wear those all the time. Yeah. But literally, like, every 6 to 8 months, I would have to buy a new pair because I would just rip through the middle. It doesn't help that I walk, like, an extra 5,000 to 6,000 steps a day, right? And go on my walks, whatever.
Why don't you wear, like, you know, like the runners, how they wear tights and then they wear those shorts on top? Why don't you wear something like that?
The tights and the shorts? Yeah. I don't like wearing shorts to begin with. Yeah, but like, yeah, you know? I don't think you really see me in shorts that much. Only once in the summer, but that's just because my legs were like, I didn't want to get hot. What?
I feel like growing up as a kid, you never wore shorts. You only ever wore cargo shorts.
Oh yeah, cargo shorts. The ones where like they had the
convertible
2-in-1. Yeah, the convertible pants.
No, you literally lived in those.
Hey, I was a nerd, guys. You know, that was like the nerd uniform at that point.
They're so versatile, though. You could wear them.
Yeah, I think I even had a jacket that was versatile like that, where you can take the sleeves off of it with the zipper.
I have a very vague memory of that.
Yeah. I remember that. It was like a blue jacket. I can't remember what brand it was, but it was like a blue jacket where you can take off the sleeves. I love those. Who wouldn't want to have options? I don't know when that became. And now, ironically enough, that's like a cool thing to have like pants or like clothing that has a bunch of zippers and like has multi-use and all that kind of
like
stuff.
cargo style.
Yeah.
I see cargo coming back now, and I'm just
Yeah.
like, yo.
I was just
What
ahead
in
of my
the
time.
world?
That's what it was. I was ahead of my time.
And even skirts are back too. Do you know what a
What?
skort is?
Skort?
Yeah.
What's
Skort.
a skort? Squirt? What?
Skort.
Skort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what that
no.
is?
What is it? So let me try and think. Okay, skort. So you got shorts and ports. No, short.
What's a port?
And what's the K?
Amir.
A K. Skort. Where's the K come from?
Skirt.
Oh, okay.
Skirt shorts. So the front looks like a skirt,
Yeah.
but the back is shorts. They're functional. I used to wear those.
How does that work?
So it's okay. Imagine shorts. And then
Yeah.
there's just an extra layer of fabric on the front to make it look like a skirt.
Just on the front?
Yeah.
Like a kilt?
Yeah. Kind of.
So
You've never seen those before?
No.
I used to live in
That
those
must
as
look
a
so
kid.
weird from the back.
I mean, it looks like shorts from the back and skirt from the front.
Nah, that's like what do they call it? A mullet? It's like they tried to make it a
business in
thing.
the front,
Yeah,
party in
business
the
front
back.
party. It just doesn't work. Or in this case, it's the party in the front, business in the back. Or
I mean,
what is it? I don't know.
No, I don't honestly like.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
No, I've never seen that. I don't know. I need
Ever?
to. Maybe I'll search up a photo after this and see
When
what
you
it is.
see it, you'll be like, maybe I have seen this.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, we went way off here.
We did.
Okay,
Went on a
so
little tangent. Sorry, guys.
since our original topic won't be covered today, what we'll talk about today is something I've mentioned multiple times before, but it is what I believe and what is basically what is like the fundamental of being a Muslim, which is having sabr, patience. And sabr, patience is mentioned, it's almost synonymous with Muslims at this point. Like to be a Muslim and to have faith is someone who is patient, right? So, and I believe there's actually a saying behind that. I didn't write that down, unfortunately. You know, I just prepared this right now, okay? Okay, chill. But, so first off, what does it mean to you to be patient?
Ooh, it's a deep one.
That's a deep one.
I feel like I need like wind blowing.
I'll give you the right answers, but I'll see what you come up with first.
Right
Okay?
answers,
Yeah,
eh?
exactly.
Okay. To me, when I think of patience in Islam, I think about how this life is a trial. It's a test for us. And so, although we may be blessed with good times, we're also going to be inflicted with hardships. And part of the hardships, you know, when you look at it for face value, some people may say like, you know, you're not a favored one if you have multiple hardships. Your life is hard because you're not a good person. It's actually the total opposite.
Yeah.
If you are a favored person, a hardship is basically like a test, right? And so the way that you pass the test is by being patient. And being patient in that situation means that no matter what you're inflicted with, you're continuing to obey God. You're continuing to fulfill your obligations. You're continuing to avoid sinning. And you don't sin out of spite of being inflicted by a hardship.
And actually, I wrote down a saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, which is the real patience is at the first stroke of calamity. Of a calamity. You know, that's narrated by Sahih Bukhari. Okay,
Wow,
I got quotes out here for y'all. Okay,
Who are you?
I'll do some research
Shit,
here.
Amir? I feel like you need to wear a kalansua now.
Okay, but that just like fell right into it. But okay, so that's actually like one of the actually patience can be broken down into three parts. At least that's what I found here. Okay, and what you mentioned is what most people kind of relate patience to, at least when it comes to like Islam and how we react to situations we're finding ourselves in. But there's like the patience when it comes to acts of worship. And what normally attracts people to I'm reading another point there, okay? But there's patience in worshiping Allah and adhering to His commands. Then there's also patience in avoiding sins and acts of disobedience. So like the first one I mentioned there is like fighting your nafs, basically, right? Because like a lot of the times, like people struggle, and you hear this all the time, people struggling with even the basic obligations, right?
Yeah.
So that being able to do those, even when you're struggling with doing them, even finding time and all that, that's an act, that's patience in itself as well.
Yeah.
Right. And the second part, I actually wanted to point out how the second one that I mentioned, where there's patience in avoiding sins and acts of disobedience, I feel like And the third part, is patience in decree of Allah in all calamities. So you spoke about the calamities, but then there's the opposite to that is like avoiding the sins.
Yeah.
And I feel like us in the West, we kind of deal with the first two main things when it comes to patience.
Yeah,
every
day.
Day. Even the second one mainly.
Yeah.
When it comes to avoiding the sins and being disobedient, because there are so many opportunities here in the West, right?
Yeah.
And normally the third part of patience, which is like being patience with the decree of Allah and calamities, is something that a lot of people in the East have to deal with, at least in this day and age.
Yeah.
At least that's a majority of them are what they're dealing with right now, because there's a lot of war, there's famine, there's what else is there? There's war, there's famine, there's other words that I'm trying to think there, but lack of resources, drought, all of those things that they're kind of dealing with. Yeah, but
violence.
But fortunately, at least for us, and some people may say unfortunately, like I mentioned last week, we have an abundance of all these things, right?
Yeah.
So our test with patience is coming with avoiding the sins and making sure that we're obedient and not disobeying Allah's commands, basically.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, like, we know as Muslims that things are prohibited for us.
Yeah.
Things are prohibited in Islam for a reason. We may not have the exact reason because Allah is the most wise, but we know that things are prohibited and that we should do our absolute best to stay away from them. It's funny how this world works, because we live in a country where the exact things that are prohibited are things that are celebrated, encouraged, and we're like told, you should.
Yeah, it seems like almost everything that we're told to avoid is what's celebrated and what's made to be cool or what's made to be hip.
Yeah, and it's very like even if it looks like it's easy for some people to avoid those things, it's still a test. It's still a test. Like, sometimes, like, for example, like, here's one that, like, I feel like now it's almost like an afterthought, but like something like me wearing hijab and covering up. I think I started wearing hijab when I was like full time, probably when I was like 14. I kind of played around with it and tried my best when I was 12.
Yeah.
But then I like put it on and didn't take it off when I was 14. And that's like during your very formative years in life.
Yeah. You know what's fun? I want to ask you something about that, because I've been seeing a lot of TikToks about it.
Yeah.
But like, no, don't worry. It's nothing scary.
Okay. I was gonna say, you're gonna make me show a photo from when I was 14?
No. But like, I've been seeing, it's kind of funny, but like a lot of times, especially now in Ramadan, there's a lot of women who are posting being like, I'm finally hijabi for the first time.
Yeah.
But they're like, when you return hijabi on a random Tuesday and have nothing else to wear, and it starts showing like all the clothes they wear.
Yeah.
And it's like literally like nothing covers the skin. And all these girls are like relating to this, because they're like, yeah, we literally didn't know what to put on. We had to like wear our abayas basically 24/7.
Well, I was still like really young at the time.
Yeah.
But like, I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if you remember this, but
Oh,
I would
yeah,
wear hijab with like capris and a
exactly.
t-shirt.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Honestly, the first image I thought of of you wearing a hijab is you guys in t-shirts and shorts.
At least her hair was covered.
Yeah.
And that's why I said, like, when I say I played around with it, it's because I was a kid still. I was 12.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
Obviously, like, my mom, his mom, like, all of the elder women in our lives wore it. But, like, I also, like, I have an older brother. Like, I don't have an older sister. Like, I do have some older girl cousins. And I would always, like, look to them for inspiration. Like, okay, if they can do it, I can do it too. But, like, for the most part, like, we were all around the same age and we were all literally figuring it out together. So a lot of our photos back then were all wearing the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, we wore the same style. We had the same style hijab. Who remembers tying it back with the two pieces like this, and then eventually it upgraded to a bun. Yeah, we were.
You know which style you guys should bring back?
The crisscross?
No, the hijab that would cover all the way up to your shoulders.
Oh, the one piece.
Go down
that was
yours.
just long.
Yeah.
Listen, okay, I still wear those for my walks and whenever I work.
Do you actually?
Yeah, but it's like 2-piece.
Oh, okay, but remember there's one that had like the frills.
Oh my god, no. I'm pretty sure there's like photos of us on the fridge wearing those things. But yeah, so like, was I out there wearing capris and a t-shirt? Absolutely. Was I out there wearing, like, showing my neck and stuff? Yeah. And then once I put it on when I was like 14, which was like the first day of high school, was when I was like, okay, I'm gonna keep it on.
Yeah.
And I remember like sometimes, you know how you have those teachers that you're a little bit closer to sometimes, so you talk about life. Like one teacher asked me like, hey, have you ever thought about taking it off? Like I think she was just curious.
Yeah.
And I was like, not until this very moment. Like I really didn't think about it, but like now that you mention it, kind of. And so she was like, what would your parents say? Like she was just asking, I guess. I don't know, maybe she had a hidden agenda, who knows. But she asked me about it, and then I kind of started to like think about it. And I think at that point I was like 16. So I thought about it and I was like, nah, I can't do it. Like I just don't feel comfortable. And I feel like it would literally like my whole identity would change, I think.
And to have patience in that moment, you will be rewarded for it. Okay.
But then, but the whole point of me bringing up the hijab thing was that like I've been wearing it for so long now that you would think like, okay, it's just another thought. But like on those days where it's like 35 degrees and I'm still covered and I'm just like, man, it is hot. But you know what's hotter? Jahannam.
Exactly. Yeah. So you guys are literally always being tested with patience, especially in public, because just the idea of wearing the hijab and like you're outwardly showing your Islam or your religion basically, and you're being representative for all of that, and just being constantly mindful of that, I guess is an act of worship, and also you're practicing patience, right?
Yeah, I mean, remember when what was it, last episode or the episode before, where we spoke about the intentions and, making the intention that you're covering for the sake of Allah. Like it's not just I'm covering out of habit, but it's like, one, you get rewarded for that, but then two, because of where we live, like you could potentially be a target. I mean, I don't know if Islamophobia is as rampant in Toronto as it was like.
Wasn't there recently like a masjid in the city that was like they spray painted all this stuff on it
in Toronto?
Yeah,
really?
I remember seeing, I don't know, maybe it was in America. I think it was in Toronto though. It was like somewhere in Canada.
What?
Yeah, that like people spray. It almost happens once a year, at least once a year, at least once every Ramadan specifically.
What are they competing with the people
I don't know. In America?
No.
Who?
The people in Palestine. How they constantly keep attacking the Palestinians every Ramadan, like, without fail. They just keep coming back.
Exactly. Make dua for the people in Palestine, by the way. Yeah.
Exactly. But yeah, like something as simple as that. Like it's, every summer when you're like out there in your shorts and your t-shirt, I'm just like, man.
Well, I wouldn't really. I guess I wore shorts like once. Yeah.
Okay, whatever, pants and t-shirt, but like the fact that like you guys could be so free.
Exactly.
And we have to cover up, and it's all, you know what, like. I'm not like envious, and I'm not like, I'm just gonna take it off. Like no, it's just those are the moments where you literally have to fight your nafs and be patient. Yeah,
and you're being rewarded for it, right? So it's not like it's not going to anything, or it's not benefiting. It's not benefiting. It's not benefiting you in some way.
It is benefiting.
It is benefiting you. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yeah. It's either you're rewarded or your sins are erased. So either way, a win is a win.
Exactly. Exactly.
What's a way that like you feel that, because like that's an example where I or hijabis in general like practice patience. Like what's an example for like a man, like speak for the guys.
I think for men specifically, I feel like there's nothing really because the hijab is really like the big not split, what do you call it again, like the big difference when it comes to the things we have to deal with on a daily basis, because like outside of that, I feel like all the other things that we have to be patient with, like dealing with people or making sure that you're following the obligations, all the things are things that people generally, men or women, have to deal with. So to think of something specifically for men.
I have one.
What?
I feel like, because I remember one of our cousins.
Oh, actually now I can think of one too, but go ahead.
Okay, let me hear yours first.
Well, like there are certain responsibilities for men. Because usually the man is supposed to be like the provider. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Exactly. So being patient and relying on Allah, like not stressing too much about whether you have like sustenance for the next day. Like these are things that a lot of men stress about, especially fathers and husbands. Like I haven't made it there yet, inshallah. We'll see. But I'm assuming that there's a lot of inner turmoil that goes on with trying to figure out what you're going to be doing.
I know y'all want to be the passenger princesses too sometimes.
You see, exactly.
I know.
So remembering to be patient in those times where it seems like nothing's going your way, or like you might not have what you need for the next day. That's, I think, a way that men exclusively have to deal with patience, or like it's unique to them.
Yeah, I also think, like for example, lowering your gaze, especially in the West in the summertime, like that's a big test for you guys.
Yeah,
because y'all know you can look the first time if it's a glance, but the second time you better lower your gaze. You know, and it's hard when you live in a city or a society where, as the temperature increases, the clothes start to come off, and nowadays people are like basically
you know
naked.
what? Yeah, like with the turn of like, I don't know, with the advancement of social media, I guess you could say, and like now the gym culture is becoming so much more popular on there.
Yeah.
But also the things that women are wearing in the gym is becoming a lot more like revealing and a lot more tight than it used to be. Like when I don't remember it being this crazy in the first time that I used to go to gym, like 8-10 years ago, whatever, right? But now it's like I literally have to look at the floor the whole time.
I want to, and maybe you may not be able to answer this obviously because you're not a woman, but sometimes this thought comes into my mind because I get the gym posts too, right? And I'll see like girls who, and I think I get it, but also like I don't, because I can't relate. But like, you know, like for example, they're about to do like a squat set with like a heavy weight. Yeah. And they're wearing like really tight tights and a long sleeve shirt, but then they tuck in the back of the shirt like into the sports bra. Yeah. And I'm like, is that so that they're not constricted, or is it because they want people to see? Like, I don't get it.
I think it's mostly just a style choice. Like,
but at the same time though, because I've also seen a bunch of videos where women are getting harassed at the gym, and I'm not blaming the women at all. That's not what I'm saying. I have to preface that. Okay? Yeah. All I'm saying is that like if you're wearing like, if the only thing that is preventing you from basically being naked is like the thinnest amount of cloth. Yeah, where your whole shape is showing. Like I can literally see your two butt cheeks. I don't want to say the other word, but it's Ramadan. Like if I can see the whole, like your whole body, I don't know if men realize. I mean, if women realize how men work, but like you gonna be objectified, sis. Men are gonna be staring. Yeah. And if you don't want them to stare at you, then don't wear it. Or cover it up.
Some of them might want the men to stare at them.
And if you want the men to stare at you, that's you. Okay? Yeah. That's you. That's what you want. Yeah. But you can't dress
I think
like
that's where the like conversation comes, like, is it still on the onus of the man to lower his gaze?
Well, yeah.
At that point, right?
It always is. Yeah. But we also know, like,
I think it's because men are rewarding it, right? Because men are because like women wouldn't do that if it wasn't something they felt was had some like positive feedback, right? They're not, if women weren't getting attention for it, then I don't think it would move in that direction where like they're getting more and more tight, less and less material. But it's because men are coming out and they're following these ladies, like they're giving them millions and millions of followers. They're paying for whatever services they provide. You know what I mean? So at that point, it comes back to the men being like if it's hard to control men. You know, like, men have.
I know, but at the same time, and now I just sound like I'm going back and forth because at the same time, as a woman, I'm telling you, a lot of times that like women get dressed, if they dress up, whatever, it's usually to impress other women. Like that's actually what it is. It's unless you're, of course, like in a relationship and maybe you're dressing up to like for your guy, whatever the case is. But like for the most part, people like women put on makeup. You think a man knows contour and all that stuff? Unless he's into makeup, he's not gonna the average man doesn't know the details of makeup. They may be able to tell that you're wearing something, but like they don't know what it is, and they're not gonna be like, "Ooh, your eyeshadow looks so nicely blended today." Like, you know, girls will notice that kind of stuff and they'll compliment those kind of things. And so I'm torn. Like I'm really trying to understand. And maybe this is just a question I need to ask the girls.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like that's something maybe you should ask one of the girls who actually does it.
I know, but then like I almost feel like we're in a time now where you can't even be curious and ask these things because it comes off as like, oh, you're just being a hater, or you're just being what's the opposite of a simp? Like a pick me. That's what it is.
Yeah.
Like what, like simp for guys, pick me for, like, you're being a pick me by saying like, you know, girls shouldn't dress this way. And it's like, no, I just, as a Muslim who chooses to wear hijab, like, and again,
I still think it comes down to like dopamine and like, first off, they think they look good.
And that's fine. You can,
but then like they know they might be getting attention from it.
But then, okay, maybe I shouldn't generalize, because there's there are people who, you know what though? Okay, fine. Yeah, let me stop myself, because women get harassed no matter what they wear. Yeah. That's also true. But at the same time, it's like the only people that I don't understand are the people who dress like that and then complain about being stared at.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Those are the people. It's not everyone. So like, I think I'm just organizing my thoughts now.
Well, that was a big issue. I think I mentioned it before, where a lot of women were filming themselves in the gym doing workouts. Yeah. And then they were calling out the men in the background who may not have even been glancing, but even if they were glancing, it's like, can you help it? But like, they were calling them out for this and make them look like creeps, when really they were just like chilling in the background and saw someone filming themselves and were like, oh look, there's someone filming themselves. So but the internet really did kind of like fight back against that. So now people are more like calling it out and be like, no, you're like reaching far,
you're the
right?
one that's getting attention,
exactly,
looking for attention.
So for once the internet actually made the right decision. They were like, okay, chill. Yeah,
because like, I just try to understand, like, I really try to understand, like, I really do. But even like when I go to the gym, I don't like, and maybe it's just because like, maybe if I wasn't a hijabi, like, I don't know where my limits of modesty
maybe that's a good sign that you're so far from that world and that like idea and that culture that it doesn't even compute to you like why you would want to do that, right?
Yeah, like every time I think about it, I'm like, maybe if I didn't wear hijab, like, I think I would understand it more. Like, I understand some people want the male gaze, but some people want the female gaze. And I get that too.
Well, it's the same reason guys like wearing like these thin, what do you call them? The like, it's like a white beater, but it has like it's thinner. It's a tank top, exactly. Yeah. They like wearing the tank tops. And even guys are now starting to wear like the really tight shorts and that go up like right up to their like.
I thought
groin,
they wore
basically.
that for each other, to be honest, because I don't know what girl finds
well, like
that attractive.
guys, I feel like they like it for the same reason that some of those women might do it, is because they like the way they look. They like looking themselves in the mirror and be like, oh, I look like that person I watch on Instagram.
Because I have all these gains, I might as well show them off.
Exactly. Like, I have the body. A lot of times you'll see them start wearing that when they start getting the body that they idealized in their mind from what they've seen on Instagram. And a lot of guys do and women do it. So it's really kind of both ends of the spectrum are doing it.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think one thing that some people may not realize is that women have the obligatory like hijab, but so do men. Men have to be modest too. Yeah, it's not just about lowering your gaze. Like, men, Muslim men have to also be modest. And I think that a lot of times, you know, some people are so quick to just point out things for the women, but like, brother, like look within yourself.
Yeah, like in the Shafi'i school, like we have to cover between our navel, our belly, basically our belly button and our knees. So of course there are other schools of thought on exactly how much to cover, but typically that's like the general consensus of what most men are kind of think of as the aura for men. Yeah, aura meaning the place that you have to cover. So we do have it ourselves. Unfortunately, even I guess they would kind of be like non-hijabis, like men who don't wear I don't know. Who like go out and don't wear anything on top. I don't know.
I think
I guess no, because then it depends on like the school that you're following, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. I wouldn't go that far because you know, modesty, y'all got your own things to go with.
Modesty goes beyond just how you dress. It's also how you act, how you speak, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. But yeah, that's
funny enough when you mentioned how you act. Yeah. There was actually a point that I skipped here earlier, but first off, I said like I wrote down here like to be a practicing Muslim is to be patient, but like it seems like that's the last thing Muslims usually master, which is patience, and it's not an easy thing to master because essentially when once you master patience, that's when you've reached a level of like basically piety. Because to master patience means that like you're avoiding all the sins, you're practicing all of the obligations, and even doing stuff on top of that. So it's not expected for everyone to master patience, but it should be something we all strive for, right?
Yeah.
And one thing you see a lot now online is that a lot of people or non-Muslims, usually they're attracted to Islam not through our acts of worship first, but usually because they see how we deal with each other, our manners and our patience with each other, right? So having patience is also something that you can use that we do use to attract non-Muslims and people who to Islam.
Yeah, we've
have we spoken about this?
I can barely talk. Yeah, we've spoken about this before, where we kind of said, like, nowadays you can do the regular dawah where you're preaching, you're preaching the call to Islam and you're teaching the rules, but I think, like, just by the way that the society is kind of going right now, and with the way that the internet has us all in a chokehold, for the most part, I think the best way to, like, attract people to Islam is literally how you act. People are attracted to the discipline that Muslims have. Yeah. The fact that, we're so careful, like, with our belief and how we go about things. And even if someone is quote unquote like the worst Muslim in the world, whatever, they they don't do any of their obligations and they do all the sins, they still at the end of the day, like, they hold firm to their belief. Yeah. Or at least I think they do. I don't know.
They try to.
They try to.
Yeah. And I feel like a lot of the people who are struggling with their deen and all that, like, in the back of mind, I feel like a lot of them still have that, like, inner strive to, like, at least eventually get to a point where they can be better in their deen and, like, get closer to Allah and all that stuff. Yeah.
A prime example of that is Ramadan. Like, Ramadan is a huge test. Yeah. Imagine not eating or drinking anything, like you're doing a dry fast.
Ultimate practice of patience.
Yeah, and like, y'all know sometimes when you be getting hangry, that is when you're, like, really tested. Yeah. Like, I was driving here and this guy out of nowhere. Okay, you know where I was? Hopefully this doesn't give away whatever. No. I was at Warden and Ellesmere, and it's like right before the Costco, and everyone's in that one left lane to turn into Costco.
Oh yeah.
So I was in the very right lane because I know, and I was trying to make the light. There's 3 seconds left. Oh, I know. And this guy who was held by all the other cars starts to, like, slowly
merge into your thing.
So I held my beep while I'm listening to Madih about, like, the Prophet is, like, merciful and all. I'm like, the Prophet of mercy is sent to us as a mercy. Sorry. Yeah. And I'm just like, released my hand. The guy looked back at me. I looked at him and I was like, ooh, I would give you the finger and cuss you out right now.
But remember what I said earlier, the real patience is at the first stroke of a calamity.
And so I took my foot off the gas. I took my hand off the horn and I let him in.
Like a good Muslim would.
I let him in front of me, and then he swerved away thinking that he got his way. But I was like, no, you're lucky. You're so lucky. Yeah. It is Ramadan. And you know what? And I say that jokingly, but I really do. The habits that we try to cultivate within Ramadan, like, obviously we need to, and this is a reminder to myself first, of course, I need to work on extending those habits beyond just Ramadan. Ramadan is almost like, it's like the same way that we have, like, New Year's goals, we have Ramadan goals. Because it's sort of like you're resetting. It's like a spiritual cleanse, a spiritual reset for how, even though it's the 9th month in the calendar, still for the remainder of the year, Ramadan is always like that, that cleanse that you need. And so from that point forward, it's almost like you're turning a new leaf.
Yeah. Ironically enough, now, like, a lot of non-Muslims are realizing that. Yeah. And using it almost as like a spiritual cleanse in a way.
I've seen a lot of people on TikTok saying that they
are practicing it.
Yeah.
Right?
And I'm like,
actually, you know what's funny? I wrote that down. Is non-Muslim influencers practicing Ramadan appropriation?
I'm going to be careful with how I answer that. I think, religiously speaking, obviously, we know that in order for your good deeds to be accepted and written down for you, you have to have the correct belief in Allah and His messengers. Point blank, period. I'm not going to argue about that. Yeah. However, if by them practicing Ramadan and truly understanding the why behind it and getting a taste of Islam in the best way possible, if that will eventually open the doors to their heart to accept Islam as their religion,
Mm-hmm.
fast all you want, baby boo.
Yeah.
Come to my house for iftar.
What would you say? So appropriation doesn't have to be a bad thing. Maybe it's been given such a negative
It is.
connotation
I thought it was
because
I thought it was a negative thing.
is the word inherently bad? Like does it has it been given a negative connotation because of all the cultural appropriation that has admittedly actually been going on for other things like black culture specifically? That's like the main one.
Well, the definition technically is the action of taking something for one's own use, typically without the owner's permission. So it kind of is like negative.
Okay, yeah. Then you know what? Yeah, I guess appropriation would be have inherently is negative, but I do see it like you mentioned. It can be a positive in that those people might open a door to them actually looking into why we do this, and maybe even like looking into what the religion is, and then going further on from there. I think it only really becomes. Go ahead. You were about to say something.
I was just gonna say, and maybe I can find this clip again so we can insert it here. But I was on Instagram and I saw this video. I think it was like from. Do you follow Mustafa Briggs?
Yeah.
He posted this this guy who was making the adhan in a very like have you seen that one? And he's
it's like a Samoan. Yeah.
I saw that too. And I saw that and I was like, oh, that's cool. Like I've never ever like heard something like that before. And that's so interesting that like people can make it their own but still practice the religion in the same way.
Exactly.
I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, because people they don't want to give up what their identity in a way, like their cultural or traditional identity sometimes. And Islam usually is what do you call it? Like, open enough to like allowing for, of course, to an extent, allowing you to be able to not play, but like do like a remix on certain things, like the adhan. Like you don't have to do it exactly like you heard it. If you can, as long as you pronounce it correctly. As long as you pronounce everything correctly and you have the what is it? The what's that word for saying things correctly? It starts with a T.
Talaki?
No, is it talaki?
Like where you've spread it on someone else and confirmed your
No.
pronunciation?
Like
Tajweed?
Tajweed, exactly. How do you say talaki?
That's for Quran. Never mind.
As long as you have that correct said correctly, then yeah, you can kind of like try and put your own spin on it. Why are you dying?
Guys, listen, just allow it. It's Ramadan brain.
Yeah, and it's like almost iftar time too. A couple hours away. Yeah. But what was I getting at there? Yeah, I was just saying like, yeah, you can kind of it's almost like not appropriating, but like change it in your own way or make it your own thing.
Yeah, and you know what though? Like I've realized this. I realized how, I don't want to say I was closed-minded, but how sheltered my thought process was because obviously like we're Harari and you know, the community that we grew up in was, we only really saw for the most part anyways, were the Harari cultural practices and religious practices, but also like the Arab cultural and religious practices. And I didn't know anything else. Yeah. And then I'm like, yo, there's like dhikr in other languages. Yeah. That's cool. I didn't even know that thing I thought it was just like strictly Harari and Arab thing. And that's how like sheltered I was in my thought process. Or even like how, you know, the styles of how people do things in Islam. Like the whole concept in general is the same. Yeah. But it's like different fonts, you know?
Exactly. That's a nice
same words, different fonts.
Exactly. What was the original thing that we were coming? Oh yeah, we're talking about Muslim influencers. So I was talking about like how it can be taken too far if they start to like gain sponsorships from this. Oh yeah,
that's appropriation.
Yeah, that would be appropriation. But the one thing that could be said that might be a negative is that like they're doing it to attract a Muslim audience, but then like outside of Ramadan, they're just gonna get back to their original content, and like you're pulling all these people in who liked you for your Muslim focused content, I guess you could say, but then you will be more like maybe exposing them to things that wouldn't really fall in line with the Muslim values or Muslim religion and our rules or ideas, basically. So that I'm just saying, you know, to be can we even say devil's advocate? I feel like you could, in a way.
I don't know.
I don't know. It's a saying. Okay, it's a metaphor.
As they say.
As they say, you know, be the devil's advocate and just say like that could be something that where someone may make a point like that, and something that I thought of for a second.
Yeah, and I think, you know, at the end of the day, if you see someone who is a non-Muslim and whatever, they're an influencer and they want to partake in Ramadan, they want to fast.
Mm-hmm.
I think that I guess our responsibility as Muslims is that if they come to you with questions, like that's your opportunity to teach them. And I think, you know, it's I'm just trying to think about like where I want to go with my point here, like where I want to land. You know? Do I want to land there? But like the whole point of the fact is that, like what I said like a couple minutes ago, is that they're not rewarded the same way that Muslims are. Yeah. And I know some people are going to listen to this and be like, well, a good person's a good person. Yeah. And I'm not saying you're not a good person. I'm just saying, I'm talking about the rewardability. The condition for your fasts, for your prayers, for your good deeds in general to be accepted is that by Allah is that you have to be a Muslim. That's it. That's literally it. Yeah. You know? So that's why I said, like, if someone fasting is eventually going to lead them to embracing Islam, then by all means, I will encourage them. But if they're fasting as a way to kind of gain a Muslim audience, just to grow their fan base in general, and then go back to doing whatever it is they were doing before Ramadan, then like, you know, at the same time, like we don't know what people's intentions are, right? Like, who are we to sit here and judge? That goes for Muslims or non-Muslims. Yeah. Like, we don't know what they're like. All you can say is you can watch from a distance and just make dua and say, may Allah guide them. I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. Because initially, they might be thinking of Ramadan as just a content opportunity. Yeah. Right? Where they don't really think about all the extra stuff, why we do it, all that. They're like, oh, there's a big audience currently. Like the algorithm is pushing this now, since a lot of Muslims are practicing. This is like one thing that all of us are doing at the same time. So it seems like the algorithm kind of caught on to that. Yeah. That's why you're seeing a lot of non-Muslims even getting this stuff. But once they see that, they're like, oh, you know, I got to take advantage of this opportunity. But then, you know, of course, like you mentioned, that could open the door to them learning more about actually what Islam is and all of that. So yeah, it's what might be seen as negative initially, but actually, or what may be they might initially come in to exploit the issue, but then they end up benefiting from it at the end. Yeah, and I think, you know, just because that happens, right? Like, say someone does benefit from the content and then they don't embrace Islam. Yeah. It's not like a race. Someone once said it's a marathon, not a race. Yeah. I don't know who said that. Also, was it Nipsey? What? No, Nipsey didn't come up with that saying. Oh. He had the marathon like brand. Oh yeah, that's why I thought he said it. Who said that? That's like an old line. It's probably like an old adage. I don't know what it is. But anyways, the whole point of that, like what I was trying to get. Yeah. I really thought he said it though. But anyways, it's not like. Obviously, you know, if someone embraces Islam sooner, like that's better for them. And also, you have to remember that the audience, because that person who may be doing that, their audience probably isn't already like largely Muslim. But then all those people are also being exposed to Ramadan, and they might Google up, what's Ramadan? Did you see that TikTok about the guy who made suhoor for his roommate that was Muslim? Like, oh yeah, I saw that too. Even that, like, I'm pretty sure. Like, that guy knows a little bit about Ramadan because of his roommate. Exactly. And he maybe saw it as, I mean, I don't know. Allahu Alam. No, they've been making, like, my Muslim roommate content for a while. I've seen that video. Have they? Yeah. Oh, okay. I've never seen that guy before. I just randomly No, they've been making it for a while now. Okay. So then in that case, like, he probably has, like, you know, because I think that video really got popular. Yeah. And so a lot of the Muslim people that were watching it were like, oh, we love this acceptance and, like, thank you for embracing, you know, our Muslim brother. And those are one of the people that you're like, may Allah guide him. Maybe he'll fast next year. I don't know. Yeah. I know, like, people like my coworkers who aren't Muslim, they've even said, they've offered, they're like, can we fast with you? Like, I'm interested to see how it goes. Like, and they've asked me that question, and I'm just like, you know, if they're listening to this, they're probably like, oh my God, son. Why, did you tell them no? I didn't tell them no. I just made silent du'as for them instead. Like, may Allah guide you.
What are you gonna pull up with like a Quran and like the Mukhtasar and be like, yo. Sorry,
Guys, let's just have a quick like book club.
yeah, exactly. Hey, have you seen that? It's like, okay, guys, book club or like workbook club. First book, Mukhtasar.
By the way, guys, Mukhtasar means the summary.
Oh yeah, it's like sorry, it's a summary. It's like basically like there's books that are made like it's a summary of basically what
Your
we believe.
obligations.
Yeah, our
Yeah.
obligations, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, all of the personal obligatory knowledge they're summarized into books.
Because when we grew up, we went to an Islamic school and it was called the Mukhtasar.
Yeah,
Because it was basically a summary of all the stuff we needed to know.
exactly. So I mean, if y'all ever want to holla at us, we'll get you some resources.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah. So like, imagine we do book club after work or something, and I'm like,
Yeah.
and for today's book, we're gonna read Al-Quran.
And you start with like Baqarah. Oh my god, yo.
What?
So like, you know how I was going through the Quran, like, and going through its meaning. So like, I never went through the meaning. At least like I've gotten, you know how we always get like excerpts, right?
Yeah.
So I never went through like the full thing straight forward. I didn't realize, you know, this shows you how ignorant I was, even as a Muslim. I didn't realize like how much information just Baqarah had. Like, it has everything. I'm like, like everything. It has like the rules of divorce.
You didn't know?
No.
I mean,
No.
it's like
It's like
hundreds of ayahs.
286 exactly.
Yeah.
But like it has like a bunch of hadith, not hadith, what do you call them? Dua to make.
Yeah.
It has like the rules of divorce. It has like the story of like Moses and Prophet Moses. Is it? Would you say prophet? Yeah, I don't know why I struggle with that.
You good?
Because I'm so used to saying Prophet Muhammad, it just it didn't sound right in my head. And like, what else did it have? It had like the rules of what was it? Shoot. Okay, I'm forgetting it now, but it has like a lot in there. So like, yeah, I suggest, I know it's my goal, but I suggest if you're not doing it already, just go through like Baqarah alone.
Yeah.
Like just learning the meaning behind each line. Yeah, I still have a lot to go though.
A couple years ago, I went through the whole translation of the Fatiha. Like, can't remember when it was. A couple years ago.
Yeah.
And I remember like when I went through it, I'm like, yo, I recite this every single day.
Exactly.
And I didn't know that this was basically a dua that starts like.
And one thing you realize is that like now, because I'm like listening to the Quran and also going through the meaning, like and the way that I'm doing it, it has like each word, like it has the English word under each of the Arabic words.
Yeah.
So like you start to pick up on the Arabic behind it. And I feel like if I were to go through this like multiple times, and like start reading along with it and stuff, because right now I'm just trying to get the English translation for it. Like I could probably start to understand it. Like if someone were to say the line, I would understand the gist of what they're saying basically.
Yeah, like even when we're in like Islamic lectures and certain hadiths or things that we've heard before and we've like studied it and we kind of know the meaning. Yeah. When they say it now, I'm like, oh, I know what that means. And I feel so like good about myself because I understood one Arabic sentence.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
one thing I've envied about like people who know Arabic.
And who understand the Quran.
Yeah. No, even people who know Arabic, like any dialect of Arabic, it's easier for them to kind of get into it and understand it if they just put a little bit more effort. But if you don't know Arabic at all,
I mean, it's not just that you need to know the language; you also need to have the Islamic knowledge, right?
Oh, yeah, exactly.
I mean, if we're talking about like the tafsir, like the translation of the Quran, like.
Oh yeah,
you guys know the language is very vast.
Yeah.
One word alone could have many meanings.
Exactly.
It could mean many different things, and
that's why I would suggest if anyone wants to go through it. I'm always surprised how like people who, it's good that this is their way they got it, but like people who don't know anything about Islam and the first thing they do is just go straight to the English translation. Yeah. I'm like, you need a sheikh, bro. You need someone.
I know, but that's a lot of people do that. Like they'll read like the English translation of the Quran, and they still.
Yeah, it just shows you how powerful the Quran is alone.
I mean, it was one of the biggest miracles.
Yeah.
So,
But like, of course, now like because I already have a lot of that basis in knowledge, I kind of understand. I've gone through these at least individually some point in my life. At least I can understand like the meaning this is referring to, that kind of thing. But yeah, I would first suggest, if you're ever going to do this, like as a Muslim, just like first make sure you have a good understanding of your basic knowledge, and then maybe you can go through it that way.
Or read it, and if you have questions or
exactly, that too,
ask a trusted source, and then, go from there.
Okay, guys, we're gonna take a quick break here, and we'll be back in just a second. So one thing, the reason that patience is also so important, or what makes us realize that patience is so important, is because it's actually mentioned, I think, like 90 plus times in the Quran, like the idea of patience. But also, unfortunately, there's a lot of things. This is something that a lot of us kind of like fall into. But anytime a Muslim is wronged and they have a right on someone, whether it's like a family member is killed, or like that's the most extreme one, I guess. Or in other cases, you've been robbed or something. In the Quran, a lot of the times after it mentions that and what you're owed, at the end it usually says that it is better to forgive, even if you have a right to compensate. So a lot of the times, like even when I was going through the Quran, like the translation of it, a lot of the times it would say what you have a right to. And even in cases of divorce, like what you have a right to, it would say at the end, like, but it is better to like forgive, or to let it be, or just ask for Allah's reward instead. So that's another reason that patience is like so important to being patient is something to remind yourself of being in Islam. Or as a Muslim. Even
if, it's your right to be compensated, and not necessarily monetarily compensated, but like to get your right back from the person who wronged you. The rewardability of forgiving someone for the sake of God is so much more greater. And so it's not an easy thing to do. Imagine if you're listening to this right now, think of, a person that you may be upset with, and, think about what it would take for you to forgive them. And then think about forgiving them without them even asking, even though they should ask for your forgiveness. But even if they don't ask and you forgive them for the sake of Allah, think about the rewardability that you get from that. And like honestly, like the peace that you feel, because a lot of times it requires so much energy to hold grudges on people. And even if like it's something that's like, oh, this person did me so dirty, like I'm never going to speak to them again. If you have that type of mentality, like it's so much effort to like ignore somebody, like let's be honest, like, because then especially if you see this person's in your community or something, like they're a friend or they were a friend or whatever the case may be, and if they're in your community and you have to like actively go out of your way to ignore them, it's just.
And would you not rather be rewarded for trying to mend that, or just foregoing any of that like negative feelings you have towards that person?
And I think, you know what though, like at the same time, it's good to be a forgiving person. I think, you should always strive to be forgiving. Allah is the most merciful and the most forgiving. And so who are we to hold grudges on people? You know what I mean? So in that sense, the way that I like sometimes think about it though is like, if you're forgiving someone and then they wrong you again, and you forgive them and they wrong you again, and then you forgive them, and eventually you're like, okay, until when am I gonna, you know what I mean? Like make dua for them, maybe ask that Allah protects you from this person's harm, and maybe they'll stop, or
well, like I guess there's a question there, was like, can patience be taken too far? Like, can you be, how like because I think there was a case, I forget which sheikh, he was like replying to a question where there was like a lady who was like in a abusive relationship, and she thought that it would be better to be patient in that abusive and take the abuse. And the sheikh was like, patience is a virtue, like it's a good thing, but like it's up to a point where if you're physically getting harmed, like don't use patience as an excuse to stay in that situation, right? You have to, at the end of the day, you have to kind of do what's best for yourself.
That's what I was alluding to as well.
Okay, there you go. Like,
you can be forgiving and you can have patience until you absolutely can't. If you're bringing harm to yourself by being patient, for example, this situation where someone's being abused in a relationship, like you can leave.
Mm-hmm.
That's a justifiable reason for you to, like, you know what I mean? I just don't. I think sometimes, because I feel like this happens, and I feel like I have this internal conflict all the time.
Yeah, I think
of,
that's
like,
what everybody kind of deals with this issue. This is
like,
like the hardest part of it.
I should be patient, but I don't want to be naive.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, let's just say, for example, Amir, someone stole $500 from you.
Yeah.
And you were so annoyed, but you're like, I'm just going to forgive them, lillahi ta'ala, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then, like, a month later, another $250 gets stolen from you.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're like, damn it, bro, just ask me if you want the money. Like, ask me. I would have given it to you, you know?
Yeah.
So you're like, you're still annoyed, but you forgive him again.
Yeah.
Then
Well, usually you wouldn't say nothing at that point. You'd be like, or would you say nothing?
Nah, beat the... I mean...
No, exactly. We're practicing patience here, okay?
I would say, my brother or sister in Islam,
yeah.
do you require some financial aid from me? If you do, ask me.
Yeah.
If I have the means, I will help you. But please don't steal from my money. Without my permission, that's stealing. That's haram.
Yeah.
I'd go that route.
Or you can be like, probably don't allude to that fact that you know they're taking money. It'd be like, hey, have you been short recently? Like, are you okay financially? Are you doing okay?
Yeah, that's one way to go about it.
Yeah.
That's one way.
You know, where you're not accusing them immediately.
But if you know it's them.
Because then they can just deny it.
They can deny it, but Allah sees everything. Okay? So
I guess so, yeah. But like, you know
that's
what
how
I'm
I would
saying?
say it.
Okay.
Allah sees me and Allah hears me.
Allah is all knowing. Okay.
So you better not lie.
That's also another thing a lot of lines end with is like Allah is all knowing and all seeing. So
yeah,
remember that, people. And
exactly.
There's actually one line by the Prophet I thought it was funny, like just like how it is. It was oh shoot. No, this is not the right one. But essentially it was like, just to paraphrase it, is basically like the believer who like mixes with people who are pretty annoying but is patient with them is like better than the believer who does not mix with people to avoid their annoyance. So
you know what?
Tag your friend.
I'm gonna tell. I can't say this on camera.
So shout out to that annoying friend. I'll just say, you know, you technically that annoying friend is getting you is helping you be rewarded by Allah for your patience with them.
Well, it's not always a friend. Sometimes you don't have a choice but to be around these people.
Exactly. So just realize that when you're around annoying people and you choose to be patient with them, you know, and don't get angry with them, you were technically being rewarded for that as well. Yeah. So keep the annoying people around if you want to continue. No, I'm playing. Well, if you want to continue to be rewarded for that.
I think it's like here's a good example.
Yeah.
You go to the mosque. Let's say you're going to pray tarawih or you're doing a community iftar or whatever the case may be. Yeah. As you know, the mosque is not limited to your friends and family. Yeah. It's open to the community. And in life, not everybody is meant to be BFFs. So you may have, you know, an auntie or an uncle, depending on which side of the masjid you're at, that like, you know, let's just say you got your perfect position in the prayer line and they just like booty bumped you. And you'd be like, yo, what's your deal? Yeah. But then you're like, you know what? You're an elder. I'm going to respect you and I'm going to have patience. You can stand here. It's the perfect spot. Yeah. It's all yours. I'm going to stand in the back.
Exactly. Everyone's got that, you know, annoying person somewhere in their life.
All I'm saying is be forgiving and be patient and be kind, but don't be naive. Exactly. If someone is like...
Make your voice heard if you feel like it will benefit the situation.
Yeah, like I don't think standing up for yourself is wrong. You can stand up for yourself and still be respectful. At the end of the day, patience, kindness, respect, they all kind of go hand in hand. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because there are people who could be patient, but they're passive aggressive.
Oh, yeah. You know? That's the worst. Because, like, you can see that, like, passive aggressive is still being aggressive in a way, right?
It is, yeah.
Yeah. So is that really being patient? To be patient, maybe to say nothing. Or to at least, like, maybe take yourself out of the situation. Instead of saying something that, you know, might, like, imply that you're not, you're angry or that you might get angry from this situation.
And that's the thing, right? Okay, let's touch on that for a second. Okay, let's touch on anger for a sec, because we are human beings. We're not robots. We can't suppress our feelings Some people may have that ability, and mashallah to them.
Yeah.
But it's almost like humanly impossible to suppress feelings such as anger, sadness, frustration, etc. And so when we say be patient, we're not saying suppress your emotions. Being patient when you're angry, what that could look like is like, for example, someone does something to upset you. Let's say it's you, okay? And this is totally out of Amir's character, so that's why I'm using him as an example. But let's just say somebody stepped on Amir's brand new shoes at the masjid. And when Amir was like, hey, like, what are you doing? The guy brushed him and walked away. Amir has the physical capability to knock somebody out if he really wanted to. But instead he was like, you know what? I'm upset, but I'm not gonna hurt him. So he walks over calmly to the brother and says, excuse me, next time can you just watch where you're going? Like, you just stepped on my shoes, and you don't want to do that to other people. Yeah. That is a calm way. Like, you could still be upset. Yeah. But you're respecting him. You're not embarrassing him because you're not saying it in front of everyone. You're pulling him aside. You know what I mean? Versus if you said like, yo, what's your deal? And you're screaming in the masjid and everyone can see, and now it's like a huge scene and you're embarrassing him. You see the difference? Definitely,
that was a huge difference. Yeah, for sure.
That was an extreme, I know.
Yeah. But so, like, that would be like a middle ground when it comes to patience, I think.
Like, yeah, or like, for example, here's a more less silly example. But like, for example, if you have a really close friend or family member who passes away, you are allowed to be upset and cry and be sad. But when people say, you know, in Harari culture, when we say like sabri wa aman yastahu, that means may God give you patience and peace. Yeah. And so you can cry, but like, don't. When we're asking Allah,
don't go to the extreme.
Yeah, like, don't be like wailing and like you stopped eating now, and your life is now being impacted, where your health is like you're not eating, you're not sleeping, you're just crying constantly, and like death is it's a loss, and everyone obviously grieves differently. But when you think about, when you really like remind yourself of this life and the fact that it is temporary and that death is expected for all of us, like we are all gonna die. Yeah. So those who think that they're gonna be immortal, not gonna happen. We're all gonna die. It's gonna happen to every single one of us. We don't know when our time is. Yeah. Amir could die before me, or I could die before him. Allahu a'lam. You know what I mean? But at the same time, like, don't having patience is like accepting what has happened to you and continuing to persevere through Islam.
Yeah, and actually there's a saying by the Prophet, I'm gonna paraphrase here again, but I believe it's the one who is patient when someone close to them, like a friend or a family member, has passed away, will be granted Jannah for that. So like just being patient for losing someone like that. When I believe, let me look up the line exactly.
Yeah, because when you think about it, losing someone from them passing away is a big hardship. Like it's a huge calamity when you think about it. Like, that's not easy to lose somebody that's close to you, whether it's your friend, your parent, your sibling, anyone in your friends or family or whoever the case may be. You know what I mean? So being patient is not going to be easy in that sense. Yeah. And when you see the people who are, I'm like, I've seen people in my community where someone close to them, whether it's their spouse or their parent, has passed away. And yeah, they're sad, as expected, as we all would be. But then the way that they carry themselves, I'm like, wow, mashallah. Like, they're so strong. Like, that is the definition of like truly relying on Allah and being patient.
Yeah, I'll put up the quote or like the actual line.
Oh, you found it?
No, I can't find it here.
Oh, okay.
The weird thing is that I put them all on the doc earlier, but I guess they never showed up, or maybe it never saved correctly. Oh. Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Oh. But you know what? For at least the visual, for people watching on YouTube, you'll see the visuals of all the lines that I'm trying to like quote here, because these are just things that I read in passing, basically.
I hope that entices you to go to our YouTube channel now that we've hit 3K.
Yeah, exactly. Next stop is 5K. Yeah. And I'm skipping 4K. We're going to 5K right away.
We're skipping 4K. What are we at right now?
Oh, we're at an hour and 14.
Alright. Do you guys like longer, like more than an hour type of episodes, or what's your vibe, guys?
No, they're gonna. If you ask them, like the only people who are gonna be vocal are the ones who want like 2 hours or whatever.
Yeah, but you know what? Like sometimes I've seen some of the comments where they're like,
Mm-hmm.
"I wish this was like 10 hours long." I'm like,
Exactly. See, those are the people who come out of the woodwork and start leaving comments.
we should get like Twitch or something.
Twitch? You probably just learned about Twitch the other day.
Isn't that the whole live stream thing?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Imagine we did like a 10-hour live stream.
We probably get kicked off.
Why?
Twitch is like super woke. And they're like, they usually kick off people who
so you
like.
don't think we're woke?
Huh?
You don't think we're woke?
No, I mean like woke as in like the traditional Islamic values are not something that they would probably want promoting on their platform, you know?
So they're not woke. They're just racist.
Prejudice, yeah.
Prejudice.
Yeah.
Islamophobic.
Exactly. Exactly. So
we don't need Twitch then.
Or maybe they're not, because actually one of the big there is one big Twitch streamer is a lady who is a hijabi.
Mm-hmm.
And actually there are a few other hijabis on there as well.
Oh.
But their content is not geared towards like Islam or anything, right?
Oh, they're just Muslim.
Yeah, they just happen to be Muslim and playing games. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know what? If you guys like this episode, leave a comment down below. Let us know what your reactions are to the certain things we talked about. Just remember to subscribe to the channel. We finally made 3K. You guys can push us to 5, inshallah.
Don't forget to follow us on Instagram, because that's where we'll post about the giveaway. So
yeah, exactly.
Our Instagram is Cousin Connection Pod. So is our TikTok, by the way. So
yeah, so you can follow us on there as well. And yeah, just remember to have patience. And we'll see y'all next week. Bye.